everybody. Welcome back once again to On the Perf podcast, brought to you by Atlas Gunworks, who wants to remind you that you're only as good as the magazines you stuff in your well. So make sure you buy the best magazines that money can buy, whether it's an Atlas or not. Double stack 1911 magazines, the best in the biz, a system for winning. With me today is my cohort, Mr. Adam Reiser. Adam, how are you?
Well, have you ever shot a match so bad that you sell your gear afterwards?
I don't. I really wish you would tell me about it, though.
Yeah, I just did, and I did. I shot a match so bad that I sold my King's Caddies to our boy Travis in the room here.
Yeah, Reiser's in a very vulnerable place right now. Everything must go fire sale.
Everything not open division is potentially up for grabs. We did not enjoy our foray back into TAC. Turns out I can't see fiber optic sites anymore.
We are immediately post IPSC World Shoot qualifier number 1, the Dissident Arms Action Shotgun Match. It is the first week of March, so some of y'all have been shooting for a couple months getting ready for this, and some of us, it was -5 outside, so had some solid patterning sessions, but that's really about it. But first time to throw down for 2025, trying to put up scores to qualify for IPSC Shotgun World Shoot 2026. This is the second match in the series, which started last fall, and we're gonna break it down a little bit for you here. Adam or Reiser is not super stoked on how he did, and
yeah,
you
don't have to scroll to see my name, but it's not where I want it to be by a long shot. I started off stage 1, so for IPSC style matches, which this one was, committing to the 3-2-1 short course, medium course, long course philosophy. Not being able to walk stages before your stage brief was read and you get to step onto the stage, all the IPSC type stuff. I got to start on stage 7, which was a long course, 28 rounds, lots of positions, hidden target barrel maze thing, and I got to be the first shooter on the first day, which turned out okay because my stage plan was fine, but I got 3 targets in the very first position that spun and did not fall. So in a 3-gun match, if your target rotates 45 degrees, that is considered a hit target.
Depending on the rule book you're using.
Correct. In USPSA/IPSC, it must fall to score, which means that I had to shoot 3 extra rounds from the first position. So I started the entire match with a flat foot standing bolt lock reload, and it kind of just went mostly downhill from there. I did shoot a little bit the second day like I knew what I was doing. I had some high 90% stage finishes, 99% on the all slug stage, which I was pretty psyched about. But it turns out, so the reason that I went into open division a couple years ago was because I couldn't see iron sights anymore on a pistol. And I was hoping that the shotgun was far enough away from my eyes that I could see a fiber optic.
Well, and shotgun quote unquote iron sights aren't really iron sights. It's a big honking fiber on the front.
It's a big honking fiber on the front, but
and you have a lot of natural index on a shotgun.
Yes. So the stages with just wide open 3-gun style shotgun shooting, I did quite well on. I shot a no shoot on every stage that had one to shoot.
No kidding.
Every single one.
So that's an important IPSC flavor that Dissident was trying to incorporate into this match, because American style shotgunning is very,
very hosey,
elementary, and it's very hosey. It's very fast. It's very violent. Let's say.
Yeah.
IPSC shotgun is very precise, very finesse. Even when they let you do kind of American style things, they will throw a brake check in there somewhere in the form of 1 or 2 really tight no-shoots. And when we're talking a really tight no-shoot, we're talking one that is obscuring you have about 4 inches of scoring plate right next to penalty target. So it's really the entire match isn't slice and dice with your pattern, but a common feature in stages is holding off target, trying to brush with the edge of your pattern a target so that it falls off and the no-shoot doesn't get hit with enough pellets to fall down.
Yeah. So the issue that I ran into is the way my eyes are now, the way my prescription and my glasses are. If you think about like a fiber when you turn it up too bright, or a red dot when you turn it up too bright and it blooms, basically my fiber optic is doing that. And my fiber is the size of the plates in this match. So I can't aim on an area on the plate or off because I'm basically holding a whole plate in front of the plate. Mm-hmm. So I am unable to aim with the level of precision that I need to, which means that I will be moving back into dot world very permanently. So, yeah. So that's what happened to me.
For as excitable as Riser is about this stuff leading up to it, it is amazing to me how fast he went cold turkey out of it. I mean, I've been frustrated at matches before. You've heard some of that on the show. I've never been that upset. But here's the real question. Have you realized the biggest thing yet? I don't think you have.
I have no idea. What is the biggest thing?
Have you realized that I beat you yet?
Wait, did you beat me? I mean, I would be shocked if you didn't. If you
Riser talked mad smack for about the last 2 months about PCSL Nats, and your boy put 3% into Riser.
Okay, in the overalls?
In the overalls.
Okay, well, let's clarify here because you're asking for 12% at the next match.
That was a discussion.
No.
Discussion.
No. Yeah.
I knew this would be my fault.
I have it on recorded. Yeah, no, what I'm saying is you put 3% into me with extra capacity and a dot and a comp. You're asking for 12% at the next match?
It was a discussion.
All right, well, I put that out there, by the way, to some of my boys, and they decided that 4%. Yeah, so maybe we'll find some middle ground on this. But anyways, my hat's off to Mr. Maxwell.
Who W is a W.
A W is a W. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
I'm supposed to beat you, so that's really all we're going to say about it.
He did beat me. A lot of people beat me. It was very sad. I was very, very cranky inwardly, a little bit outwardly. Tried to keep it under check, but yeah, was not a good match. I described
good
yesterday
match for you.
It was not a good match for me. I described yesterday.
He's very self-centered right now. He's in a dark, vulnerable place.
I'm in a dark place. Stop interrupting me. Let me vent.
We've had some ice cream and brownies, but it's not helping.
It's not enough. It's not enough. There's not enough whiskey in the world. Yeah, I described yesterday as the worst day of shooting, the worst individual day of shooting I've ever had. Nothing redeeming about it from a personal standpoint. It was quite terrible. It felt very nice today to have a couple stages where I was like, oh, I shot like 98% or 95% or 99% of the match winner in my division, and I feel like I know what I'm doing a little bit before I sell my caddies off. So it was nice to have one little taste of like, oh, you can still kind of So the irony is AMAX was talking about, very cold where we're from right now. So I've put, I think I counted up, I put like 150 rounds to that shotgun, which I also haven't fired in 3 years. But I dry fired a bunch, and the reloads were on point. Especially
Riser's quads will take your breath away.
Yeah,
right now.
I felt very good about it. I was like watching match video. I was like, wow, that was an awesome open bolt reload. It's really too bad I had to do an open bolt reload there because that's not the winning plan. But so when I shot,
it went bad. It went really well.
Yeah, after it went bad, I did really cool things to sort of make up for it. But well, Mr. Maxwell here was ROing stage 12 when I came through this morning. Why don't you tell the folks how my stage 12 went?
I mean, not to like burst your bubble, but you're not really that special, so they all kind of blend together. I watched 120 people shoot that stage.
Oh, yeah. He can't remember. He's had a long day. So I shoot the stage. It's going all rightish. I get to the end. His stage had a falling popper with a swinger. And
yeah, it's a medium court. Maybe we should let's pause on that for a second. Maybe let's talk about the match itself a little bit. 12 stages in the IPSC format, which is to say, picture this more instead of like a 3-gun match like that first stage that Riser opened up with. That is what our listeners would picture as a typical all shotgun stage at a big 3-gun match. If it was a Bay 3-gun match and we were going to have an all shotgun stage, it would probably look something like that.
Yes.
Right? 28 rounds, all KO steel, barrels, walls. That particular one had a little balance beamy thing. And so the IPSC format is 3-2-1. So for every one large field course, which that would be, there's 2 medium courses and 3 short courses. I don't know if we went strictly 3-2-1 in this match, but it was kind of balanced in that
not exactly, because it doesn't math to 12 stages.
Right.
But there were 2 long courses, there was a few medium courses, and there were more short courses. So shoots. It was give or take that.
Trying to get that flavor and picture it almost like a big pistol match. Pistol matches, they kind of have a mix of all of those. They're not all banger high round count monster stages like Texas 3-Gun Championship will be here in a few weeks. Short
course is 8?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah, I think all the short courses in this match were 8, and then a medium is somewhere in the middle. I feel like 16 was kind of the number that most of those mediums were.
Yep. So, yeah, some like load 8, shoot 8 features, or if there were 8 targets, you have the dilemma of, am I loading 1 for 1? How many extras am I going to stuff in there? Or open people just do open things, and they have 10-round magazines.
Yep.
So some of that, I would equate a lot of the shooting to be more like if you were to picture a conventional USPSA pistol match where you only shot the targets one time.
Yeah.
All right. So like if it was a Comstock, 1 hit per paper, that's kind of the feel of a shotgun match, because it's either a KO steel, a frangible clay, or a paper, but a paper that's getting shot with a slug. Slugs are huge, so usually they only require 1 hit. It's often, the challenge is not what did that target get hit or not, it's which hole is the slug and which one is the wad.
Yeah, it's also very scary when you shoot at a no-shoot slug target and you see 1 hole appear in the target and 1 hole appear in the no-shoot, and you don't know which one is which.
That happened to you, buddy?
It didn't happen to me. I actually did quite well on both the slug stages, but that happened to a lot of people where you'd see them go, ah!
Yeah, so
you're like, wait.
Yeah, so there's definitely some technical slug features. Like if we were to see slugs at a 3-gun match, usually it's a big steel challenge rectangle plate, and they kind of gong at it a little bit. All the slugs at this match were paper. They were scored paper hits, or, well, there was the clay. There was 1 hanging clay that we shot with a shotgun or a slug.
Did you get that?
I did. I got it in 1 shot, actually.
So did I. Yay,
yeah, high five. Woohoo. Yeah, that could go horribly wrong, though, because you're like talking a 1-minute clay and a 4-minute slug.
This was also through a port that was about knee level on me.
Yeah, prone.
Prone?
Or ish, or whatever.
I mean, I was squatted.
Oh. Well, I mean, you're 4 feet tall, so... Anyway, so yes, I did get it in 1 shot. They tried to say, well, I actually shot the thing it was hanging from. So the debate, we'll get to how I shot the match in a second here, but the debate was that a range equipment malfunction because the clay fell, or is it that counts because it fell from gunfire? And basically, because I was on the first squad that shot it, it's like, well, if you're not going to count that as a hit, you need to throw this out right now, because that is going to be a train wreck.
Yeah.
So if you could get the clay to fall down with gunfire, that is what counted.
Well, to get it to fall down with gunfire, basically I had to shoot the string that was holding it, which I would argue is harder than just shooting the clay.
Again, with a 4-minute slug, who knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
And then there's buckshot. I would say a lot more technical use of buckshot than we've seen in 3-gun in a long time.
Honestly, though, not as technical as I expected.
Correct.
I was expecting like real partialed up paper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The buckshot was more open than I had anticipated, but in a really interesting, like, activator sequence with swingers, buckshot, paper targets, things like that. Like that stage was really cool. I like the buckshot stage a lot.
Most of the buckshot I've shot over the years was a you didn't say we couldn't use it situation.
Yeah.
Or it was very half-assed.
Yeah.
Very like, oh, we're gonna set this popper ridiculously heavy and you have to knock it over, kind of thing.
Yep.
This was all the buckshot was. They would mix in some KO steel that could take a hit from buckshot, and then they would mix it with some paper, and the paper, again, Comstock, would be scored 2 alphas. So you're trying...
best 2 pellets score.
Yeah,
So like the buckshot that most people are running has 9 pellets in it, and so you'd walk up and there would be 9 holes in the target if you did your job, and then usually
flight
like a
control's
giant...
not allowed.
Flight control's not allowed, which is it's a bit of a thing. That's
and
been
we all learned why they created flight control.
Heavy topic of conversation. Yeah, there was a lot of talk with like, why didn't we make buckshot fly better? And they're like, we did. It's called flight control.
Yeah.
Just go use that.
Yeah. There are some, shall we say, home remedies for buckshot that flies very well. They're not legal. The challenge is then to get caught.
They're not legal in IPSC.
They're not legal in IPSC, but we're holding... The people who are trying out for the team are being held to IPSC equipment standards. So for you would-be warriors out there, we might cut some shells in the future. So, but per IPSC rules, it's supposed to be commercially available buckshot, not using flight control as a brand name or a proprietary name, but a controlled wad essentially. Yep. And so. Comstock, best 2 hits on the paper. The other unconventional thing you'll see is, would you say up or down to number 4 buck is allowed?
Yeah.
I would say number 4 buck in the U.S. market is very rare because it's not really, and
it should be clarified that number 4 buck and number 4 shot are not the same thing.
Same, but different. Not same.
Not same. So somebody did 0 the buckshot stage because they shot it with number 4 birdshot.
Yep. That's like Peanut Gallery. How many pellets are in a number 4 buck load? 27. So from 9 pellets of a double-aught buck, you're looking at, with number 4 buck, you're looking like 27 pellets. And with number 4 birdshot, you're talking about 70 pellets. All right, so it's very, very different.
Yeah.
But some very, I would say, very interesting and somewhat technical shotgun shooting that we haven't really seen a whole lot of in the U.S. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's cool, and I think it makes the shotgun genre a lot more interesting than it's been in a while in the U.S. since some of the shotgun matches went away five-ish years ago.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see it. But that was essentially the match. We got a couple buckshot stages, a couple all slug stages. One of the load 8, shoot 8 stages was an all slug stage.
Yeah, there's also no mixing of projectile types.
Oh, yeah.
So it is either a slug stage or a buckshot stage or a birdshot stage.
Yep. Which sometimes in the 3-gun world will make things complicated, tempting you to mix those things, which can have disastrous results.
Occasionally, yes. I have seen some of them up close.
Yeah, so that's kind of the flavor of the match. This was, like I said, this was the first one of the year, and we were a bit. I'm so involved in this, I keep thinking this is my match. It's not. It was Mike and Land's match. But going into it, it was a situation of, dude, we really need help. And so I kind of poked him early on of like, hey, like I can help if you need help. Otherwise, I'll just shoot it like with everybody. Because I'm trying to qualify too. We understand that it is difficult to shoot your best on the staff schedule. We've also established that I have successfully shot my best on the staff schedule in the past, but given a preference, I would not, especially not being from this area. And they essentially said, yeah, bro, we need you. And I kept kind of like floating it out there as we got close. Like, you sure you still need me? You sure you still need me? And they're like, yes, we do. In fact, if you don't help us, we don't have enough.
There might not be a match. Yeah, they for sure needed every single RO. So thank you to everybody.
So specifically to the people in the Texas market, All right, like this match was in your backyard. All right, 25% of the staff got on a plane to get here. All right, myself and Kevin came from across the country to work this match. So somewhat of a nod or a shout out for the volunteerism that somewhat needs rekindling in our sport. Pick something you have to contribute and take your turn to contribute, because it truly takes a tribe to do all this stuff.
Yep, indeed.
But I came in. The intent was for this match to be built a week ago. Weather precluded it from being built. So when I arrived on Thursday evening, they were still, Thursday afternoon, there were still 4 stages left to build. So the match got built like immediately the night before the staff was going to shoot it, which it came together pretty quickly. But yeah, we finished building the match on Thursday. And then, of course, I'm on the staff schedule, so we are going to shoot all 12 stages in one day, which for a 3-gun match is absolutely horrible. That takes some really aggressive conditioning, nutrition management, hydration management to even have a chance at doing well. I felt pretty good about my shooting up until the last one. I had one slug mic on the load 8 shoot 8 slug stage. And it was a close one too. It was the close partial, not the far partial. I alphaed the far partial.
Really?
And I missed. I drug the slug off the close partial.
I finished on the close partial because I was worried about that. I came in on that right paper and then finished on the partial.
Yeah, so I had one mic. I had one spin like Riser was upset about on the stage that Riser was upset about. I was actually, when the reason is kind of frustrating because I was actually shooting a full choke on that stage. So I shot it with a full choke. I watched it do the death dance and visually left and went on to the next thing, came back, and it was standing there. I, of course, made sure we looked at the rules to make sure the spin rule wasn't a thing. In fact, it is not a thing. And what's more, we went over and looked at that thing, and I don't think it could have been teetering on that pedestal any more than it was and still standing there. So I had one mic, one spin, which I'm pretty okay with. It's not ideal.
In this match, that's good.
Right.
And everybody,
and if you're shooting clean, you're not being aggressive.
Yeah, every single person in this match had something.
Yep.
So
I was feeling pretty good on the last stage. I also broke rule. I don't know what rule number it is. It's definitely in the top 5 though, and that is don't use new equipment at a match you care about. So I have been using Carbon Arms caddies for years. The first ones I bought are still the ones I'm using. I've had them for probably about 10 years at this point.
Here.
It became apparent that probably should look at some of the more updated caddies. I would say right now you'd be hard-pressed to debate that the King Cat competition ones are at least not ones you should consider. So I got 2 of those. However, did not really get them set up until the day before I left, just like mounted on an ELS clip.
That's pretty sporty.
Yeah, I didn't have them set up at all. And just like for whatever, everybody's got stuff going on in their life. I just didn't get them set up. So I was like, but before I left, I was like, one of the things before I leave was like, I'm at least going to get it set on a clip. So like if push comes to shove, I can use them. And I played with them a little bit just to make sure like that I had the angles right and stuff like that. And I'm like, because I know what risers reloads sound like. All right. And I'm like, oh, these sound faster than what I was doing with my other caddies. Might give these a chance. Got into where we were staying the night before, put in a solid, hour of just playing with them whilst watching YouTube on TV. And feeling pretty good. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use them. However, all that practice. Remember early on we talked about how like I wasn't going super aggressive super early on the shotgun practice because I didn't want a repeated stress injury on my hand.
Yeah,
because that's a real thing if you do this enough. Between that practice session, shooting all day, my thumb was starting to get sore. I got it.
No repeated use injury, but you did have a stress injury from not training your thumb enough.
Well, I got Benelli thumbed on the lifter, I think. So I had a good bruise going.
That's why I switched to gloves, man. Wait, do you?
We didn't even talk about the gloves.
Weekend load or not?
A weekend load, yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the glove is the move.
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking into the glove, but yeah. So my thumb was sore. I got on that last stage. I'm like, all right, 2 more loads, and I'm home free. I don't really have to do this I can heal up. But I'm like, no matter what happens, I can push through 2 quads, get to the end of this thing, put this thing in the book. And I have a pretty high pain tolerance, like not flexing. It's just like I do. And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna power through it. No matter what happens, I'm gonna hit that quad, hit 2 of those quads, get to the end. And I shot what ended up being my stage that I worked, stage 12, and I missed one of the first sequence of 5 shots. I had a makeup in there, which was not on the plan, and I panicked just a little bit, like awakened to the conscious mind a little bit, and reflexively hit a quad. Like, it's a very single stack thing to do. Like, if you go off plan, you got to stuff a reload. Well, I went to initiate a reload, and I had some shooting to do on the way, and I also did not have enough room for the second load. So then the problem became, I have to do this load. I have to shoot some more and load again. And that got me off plan, which led to somewhat of a choppy last position. And so where I ended up with a score or a time of 24 or something, this stage was pretty much separated by you were either over 20 seconds or you were under 20 seconds. I was 24. In my spare time in the subsequent days when I shot it again, I got a 17, and I plugged that into the competitor app, and that would have been much more helpful to my score than it was.
Shocker. Yeah, there's a lot of what-ifing going on at the dinner table tonight.
Yeah, but like overall, I was pretty good with what I laid down. And then we get to the end of the match. We shoot everybody through whatnot. Their say scores are posted. I actually took a minute and I was like, all right, this is the best I'm ever going to feel about this performance. Now let's look at the scores.
Before I bring up the scores.
Yeah. And I was 11th, which in my head, I really want to be in the top 10 somewhere, but I'm just outside the 80th percentile. I'm like, damn it.
Yep.
Not nearly as suicidal as Riser is right now.
Which ironically,
I'm buying more modified gear, and he is selling.
I finished 8th in my division at 84%, and I just want to jump off a roof. Yeah. Mostly because of the first day. The first day was
and I beat you. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going to say that.
That's definitely not helping. No, it was mostly like the visual thing was really just not being able to see with the level of refinement required for essentially what this sport is an extremely frustrating thing. So
what is the vision thing? Is it a near far thing? Is it a definition thing?
It's a combination of the two. So what I was getting before I switched to open was I was having trouble focusing, essentially seeing my iron sights clearly enough, especially towards the end of the day. And I was starting to get like migraines at the end of every day of shooting. And so I went in, I got my prescription done, and the optometrist was like, hey man, turns out your eyesight's kind of shit. So they give me, they fix up the glasses. I walk outside and I'm like, oh wow, I can just like read that street sign 4 blocks down. Like, are you supposed to be able to just do that? And the guy's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, well I'm glad I got this figured out. So then I went home, pulled all the guns out in the backyard, and went, looked out through the reticle and the scope, adjusted the diopter, and I'm like, holy crap. Like, I never knew the reticles were actually that crisp. This is going to be amazing. And then I pulled out the shotgun and I went, That's pretty fuzzy. That might be a problem. But you know what? Shotgun's pretty fuzzy in our sport. Then I pulled out the pistol and I went, oh, I can't see the sight at all. Like literally could not tell that there was a sight on my gun. Could just see like a red fuzzy dot. So I went back to the optometrist and I said, hey, I got the glasses and I did this. What's going on? And he goes, oh, you have gotten old enough that you've lost accommodation. So somewhere there's an optometrist screaming into his thing, but this is how I remember it. This is my understanding of it. He's like, you no longer have the ability to pull focus through a lens. Like the lens is dictating what your eyes are doing, and it's just, that's your focal. And so he's like, so if you need to shoot irons, you need 2 different prescriptions, 2 different glasses. So I came back in. He was nice enough to open the shop before hours. I brought all the guns in and held up a bunch of lenses. And it was kind of a balance between like, well, as the prescription gets better for the irons, it's worse for everything else. So I kind of found like a happy medium and went with that. I shot TAC for another season like that. And then finally was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm just going to put dots on everything. Open. And so it was, you know, annoying, but kind of reasonable when I left. And that was 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. And my eyes have changed more since then. And they changed more than I thought they had. And so when it came to actually like seeing a, you know, something of a clean bead out on the end of the gun, that's just like not a thing.
It's just gone for you.
That's gone. So it is either modified or open, and open is super fun. So it's just going to be open from here on out because I already have all this stuff. So
I will say open participation was awe-inspiring, I guess. I mean, I expected to be one of the bigger divisions, especially in this market because this is Dissident's backyard.
Yep.
So, but like, wow, a lot of open shooters. Like,
yeah,
because we can still remember
a lot when nobody shot open, and yeah, it was quite stacked. We'll maybe check some stats here on the move, but
and then modified was actually smaller than I thought it would be, which was somewhat a ray of hope. Like I saw somewhere on Practice Score, probably a preliminary number, but it was like 9 people. I was like, oh, I can be in the top half of this. It turned out to be like 17 people.
Yeah, modified, but quite stacked.
Yes.
Or like,
yes. You can't hide. You know, we all know how Riser feels about hiding. You can't hide
we do.
Any of the 4 divisions right now.
No.
There's heat in all of them.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, to make the box in any of these 4 divisions, you need to be laying down some savage results right now. But yeah, open was the biggest division times. It was twice as big as TAC and 3 times as big as modified. Modified is actually the second biggest division, which also very much surprised me.
Modified was the second biggest division? I thought standard was
28 in standard, 59 in open, 17 in modified. 20 is bigger than 17.
But I'm getting turned around on what you said. So we're agreeing that TAC standard was bigger than modified.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of went into this thinking people were excited about modified and we're going to have to like hoodwink some people into shooting standard to like piece together a team.
Not the case.
Nah.
No, there is going to be a savage, like whoever is on it, there will be a savage standard team and a savage modified team and a savage open. Like the 4 on each of those are going to be good.
Yeah. I mean, the box in all of the divisions except manual.
Yep.
The box in all the divisions is within the 90, certainly the 90th percentile, if not the 95th percentile.
Yeah, I mean,
which I would equate to a close race.
Yeah, especially considering the 100%.
Like when Nils puts 10% into the field.
Yeah.
So like second place is in the low 90s or in the 80s. Okay, he smoked
everybody. The lowest third place person is 98.5 or 95.5.
Yeah, so that is very close. Very.
Third place in modified was 97.7.
Yeah.
Like a couple of points. Like, I mean.
Shout out to Sam Larkin because he crushed it.
All 3 divisions.
I would have had my money on Taylor, honestly, to win that.
On Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they had if somebody had started what do you call a mob gambling outfit? Gosh darn it, my brain is fried. Anyways, if people were placing bets on who was going to be on the boxing divisions, everybody would have lost a lot of money because some people pulled some stuff out. I think the only one that anyone might have seen coming was John Wydell win an open, edging Varick, and Jeremy Leitner beat Nate Staskowitz. That wouldn't have been my money. Sam Larkin beat AJ and Taylor. I mean,
in my head, the box and modified was Olhausen, Russell, and Freiberger.
Yeah, and that was not the case.
Yeah, no.
Not even kind of the case. Yeah, so it was wild, man. Yeah, it was
which is cool. It's not fun if it's not close. In
a
week ago, I was at single stack, Western State single stack, and Nils just mercilessly pounds everyone. It's oh, okay, well, who won classic division, or who kind of into what else happened? Where man, everything was close here.
Oh man, yeah. Well, and because I think you can handle it, because I wouldn't do this to anybody else, but Scott Green, former
so hot right now,
IPSC Shotgun World Champion, former best in the world, maybe future best in the world, 6th place at 86%. Damn. Who saw that coming? Nobody.
Nobody had that on their bingo card.
Yeah, and Scott's he's it turns out you can't just not practice and show up to one of these and win anymore. There is super deep heat. And Scott me and Scott, essentially almost to the percentage, had the same match. Mm-hmm. Scott sort of went the other way with it. You could see in his eyes that he's I am going to murder people at the next match.
I have the Tigers playing in the back of his head.
He is dry firing in his hotel room waiting for the flight out right now, I promise you. He is he is lined up to lay the beat down on some people. So that's where we're at.
And what's fun about Scott's a lot I put him in kind of in the same category as you, as Scott, when I approach him, we'll do a whole episode about this.
That might be the nicest thing you've ever said about me.
Well, maybe. I don't know. You haven't heard what I'm going to say yet. To me, there's two kinds of competitors in our sport. There's people who it's them versus the match. I put myself in that category. I really don't care who I beat.
Yep.
I want to do as well as I can.
I see where you're going.
Against the match.
Yeah, I care.
And see how that stack up.
I care who I beat.
Riser and Scott want to beat people.
Yes.
All right.
Very much so.
That's why it's delicious that I put 3% in you, because it bothers you way more than it bothers me.
Maxwell's gonna have a shirt. I beat Adam Riser by 3%.
I already ordered it. So that's interesting. Gosh, what else? Yeah, so I end up working a stage for the match. Pretty lackadaisical schedule. You're basically shooting 6 stages a day, and some of those smaller courses were paired together, so it was really 4 stops a day for 2 days.
Yeah, and it depended on your schedule. So that the first day we left the range at 11:30.
Yeah,
we were done super early, 8 to 11:30, super chill. Head on out, have some Mexican food.
Yep.
Go enjoy Texas. Second day bunched up just a little bit more, but it was the 3-2-1 IPSC style, not just in total match, but in your schedule. So each of your days, you were going to have some short courses, a couple medium courses, and a long course. So there's 2 long courses total, 1 on each day. There was some slugs. All the slug stuff was on one schedule, but there was buckshot on both schedules. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty even. It wasn't you put in, the 70% of your match points were on day 1 and 30%. It was pretty evenly split match points wise. So,
and they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
They were looking at that specifically.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was good. I always appreciate that, except I didn't want to see scores on day 1. So, so it didn't help with any of that stuff, but.
I kind of had big gaps of time, between squads. I don't know. I wasn't on a squad, so I assume they flowed pretty nicely, but, I kind of had some gaps. So I, of course, took 2 redemption runs on my stage with the ammo that I had left over.
Did you give yourself make ready commands and everything, make it official?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just to make sure we're following the rules.
I did not. I did unlike Kyle Soul, I did not actually put them in the tablet. but yeah, we didn't forget yet, Kyle.
Yeah.
So I took my 2 redemption runs to play with Practice Score Competitor later. And then I was left with some buckshot. I had, 20 rounds of buckshot. And so what I decided to do...
What's a minimum safe distance on steel with buckshot?
What is it? 20? 25?
That seems...
Well, I was shooting it at 40.
Okay, here you go.
So I decided to play how far away can we get from the activator and still knock off the swinging plate with buckshot.
Nice.
And the answer is 42 yards.
Sick. Oh, that was the story on your stage. So I had Oh
yeah, we're back to Adam's train wreck on stage 12.
Worst match of my life on day 1. Day 2. So I have a AC separation from years ago, and so I have a weird like muscle imbalance thing going on in my upper body. And every once in a while, it's not very often, but it does happen. I'll just like sit up in the morning, and the neck and the right shoulder will just go and just lock into place. And that happened this morning when I sat up in bed. And I was like, awesome. I'm now old enough that I can injure myself with a duvet and a pillow while I sleep. Like, this is great. Welcome to 45.
That's a great exit option for Jen.
I don't know. He just fell asleep and must have killed himself in the night.
It's weird.
Exactly. So anyway, so I sat up this morning like that, and it was just like, oh God, I need to shoot 6 stages of shotgun today. Like, this is going to be a problem. So rolled up to stage 1. I am just completely out of fucks and just trying to physically survive the day, really. So like when I say survival shooting, I don't mean like, oh, save my match. I'm like, no, I'm just trying to like get through the day and not quit, because I flew to Texas and I don't want to just like throw in the towel. So stage 1, Maxwell stage, I shoot it. It's going medium, nothing great, nothing super terrible.
Yeah, pretty medium.
Get to the end, shoot the activator. I shoot at that swinging plate and called a miss on the swinging plate. So as I'm transitioning off the swinging plate into the 3 stack of knockdowns to the right, I'm thinking, crap, I'm going to have to go back to that plate, and I don't have enough ammo to do it. It's going to suck. I shoot down the 3 plates. I go full Keith Garcia weapons manipulation drill, open bolt reload, and right as the arm comes up into view, I'm breaking a shot and realize that I did in fact shoot the plate on the first pass, and just added like 2.5 seconds to my time for no reason whatsoever.
It was 4.03.
Was it 4.03?
Yes.
Awesome. Sweet. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. And then it's granted, I had realized it, and it was clear that I realized it. And then Joe Farewell yelled, "Stop shooting!"
Yeah. And so I had a 16 round medium course, and if you were, let's say, A level, you didn't really have anywhere to distinguish yourself as long as you kept it on the rails until the last position. The shooting area kind of looked like a big number 2, if you think of it, as it laid out on the ground. And so when you got to the base of that number 2, there was a hard right corner, a hard left corner, and then there was an activator and a swinger in the middle. The swinger had 1 6-inch plate on it, and it swung very slow pendulum style. Like, it was a pretty easy presentation, but what set people apart was if they had to wait for that thing.
Yep.
So if you activated it, landed in whatever side you were going to shoot it on, and got it while it was presenting, those were the people that were under 20 seconds. And if you had to wait for that thing to come back, because it was very, very lazy kind of,
add 2.
It would add would add 2. And so that was kind of the situation. So that's where it really... Was that the third swing that you were shooting it on? You missed it the first time.
No, I hit it the first time.
You hit it the first time.
So that's why
lock on the static.
So I hit it the first time. I went to the bolt lock on the knockovers. I finished my static reload, which must have been well under 4.23 because I was sitting there waiting on it.
Yeah. So
and
you
then
called a shower shot.
As it peaked, I broke the shot. Like, as I'm pressing the trigger, my mind was like, no. Yeah. But like the train was already on the tracks, and there was just like no calling it back. And
it's like that first 2 positions where like you could get doubles in that position. almost everybody who got the doubles, like Train had already left the station.
Yeah, they already fired a third
Like,
shot. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah. So, yeah, that was and so yeah, I have video of just Amax and Joe Farewell just dying after doing that, and I'm like, yep, looks like day 2 is starting off just like day 1 ended. This is gonna be so much fun. So, and it did eventually go a little bit better. I had a couple of decent stages in there and felt like I knew what I was doing again, but for the most part, it was a pretty rough couple of days, and I'm glad they're done, but
I really
but also glad I
liked
came.
the match though. Like I'm really excited for the upcoming matches because like the shooting was interesting, especially shotgun shooting has. I really feel like shotgun shooting in particular in 3-gun has become very watered down. So it's nice to bring back like some of the technical elements of it that make it it's kind of one of those things where like people think, well, it's a shotgun, it's super, whatever, just kind of point it over there and shoot. And it's like, well, no, like there's actually like some meat here. And then like you kind of get some exposure to some meat. And then it's like, oh man, I'm going to, like you and we're going to super nerd out on this and measure all our patterns and all that stuff. And
people really go one of two ways. Yeah. They either go like, oh, this is super interesting and this is a weird little niche area that I can get better at. Or they're like, that's too much work, and they just leave. Yeah. There's no gray area.
I think most people who give it a fair shake think it's really fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of gear intensive to get into if you don't have the gear already.
Speaking of learning things, one of the guys in our squad, which I'm going to leave unnamed for some pretty obvious reasons here in a minute, learned that sabot slugs are meant to be shot from rifled barrels, not smooth barrels.
Yes, there are 2 kinds of slugs, ladies and gentlemen. One of the slugs is what's called a sabot slug. A sabot slug is basically a bullet in a wad, and it is intended to get shot through a rifled barrel. So it will spin your slug the way that a pistol or a rifle spins your bullet. A rifled slug, which by far and away is what we shoot in 3-gun, that has the rifling essentially cast into the projectile itself. So the projectile itself spins itself in your smoothbore barrel.
There needs to be rifling
the latter
on one of them.
Or the former, excuse me.
Yeah, if there's not rifling on one of them, you now have a musket. Muskets aren't very accurate.
Smokeless musket.
Exactly.
And we use the term smokeless loosely.
yeah, we do. But yeah, we kept walking down being like, why aren't your slug holes round and why are there so many misses?
Yeah, keyholing slugs. No one's ever seen that.
No, we're all just like, what in the...
Except one person knew.
Except Brian Nelson was like, I think I have an idea.
I think the other funny anecdote that I about died on, someone was preloading. They were trying to give some IPSC flavor to this match, so they weren't allowing preloading. You had to load your shotgun on the line. And someone was struggling with it, which is not unusual, but he couldn't figure it out. He still had his chamber flag in his gun. And so someone behind me was like, chamber flag,
Adam was dying.
I took a step back so he wouldn't see me laughing at him, and
Amax did, like, he kept it professional as far as the shooter was concerned and was dying visibly.
Everyone else on the squad got a completely different perception. But lessons were learned and growth happened.
There was some shenanigans. I learned that you can triple if you shoot a tight enough pattern, you can shoot a plate into a no shoot and then into another plate. I didn't mean to, but that's what happened. Learned a lot of stuff. A lot of interesting stuff.
I mean, we Vortex have a new product out, a Viper shotgun dot, and I have one of those mounted on my gun.
I'm cheating.
Very, very limited use of it. Contrary to what people would think, I got very little exposure to that project until it was like basically ready to launch. I do think it's legal cheating. for
You
what
basically
we do.
have a circle that's the size of your pattern.
Yes.
Like that's
I will put
awesome.
I will put the edge of that ring next to something I care about and be very confident it will not get hit with pellets.
What choke does that circle line up to?
For 0 outside the ring,
Yep.
full or improved mod.
Okay. And so like you get to like light mod, you start getting a little leaking.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
You'll get some periphery sprinkling.
Gotcha.
Around the outside. So I thought that was really cool, and this was, like I say, some of the first exposure I've got to that, because like other than patterning or shooting a plate rack, because like I say, it was very much winter where I came from, and it, like running around and pounding things into the ground, like staking things, like knock over plates, that was not happening. So a freestanding plate rack is really all I had to warm up on. Super excited about that product though, and learning more on it. And then finally I think we've evolved. I'm in a very abusive relationship with my Super Black Eagle, but I think we've sought counseling with Robbie at Briley. I think we're gonna keep it together for the kids. But it mostly worked most of the time, at least within the realm of expectation of what shotguns can and should do.
Yeah.
We're asking a lot of these guns.
Yeah.
We're definitely doing things with them that we're not built to do.
I will say I saw someone in the top 4 in modified put a shell in backwards into their gun. They realized it before they went.
Before it's too late.
But the sadistic part of me kind of wanted to see how that would play out. But I will, and as we're getting towards the mark here where Riser wanted to wrap it up, I will give you a juicy piece of gossip though. All right, so here's a little nugget for you guys. This was a pretty comprehensive weekend for me in that I pretty much got to do all the parts I like at a match without too much of any one of them. Like, I pretty much got to shoot the match the way I wanted to shoot the match. I got to help with the match without really being in charge, a.k.a. work a stage.
That's really nice.
I read the stage brief. I come up with some jokes, just kind of run your group through. And but I am one of the people most involved with this selection process and having this series go on. While I am not the range master or the match director here, I did get pulled into a situation. So there was a situation on a stage, stage 1. We'll say it's stage 1, about calibration of a popper. Now, I tell this story so that you folks can kind of see behind the curtain of how some of this happens, maybe to get in front of some of the rumors, but also to give you an appreciation of how the program is evolving because of work that's being done behind the scenes, and you might not always see it. So I have wanted to introduce a way to calibrate poppers officially with shotgun or a rifle since I took over or was put in charge, I guess, of the multi-gun program. At that time, nobody cared, really. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, well, I'm not going to die on this hill today. I need kind of an inciting incident to get something done here. So to date, the only way you can call for a calibration of a knockover target is if it's a pistol target. Shotgun targets must follow the score. Really, there's a huge hole in the rule book right now as to some objective way to determine if a knockover target is set properly. And the shooter also doesn't really have grounds to challenge that. All right? So there's a gap in the justice system right there. And I think even, I think on my YouTube channel, I talked about this a little bit. You kind of have 2 types of officials in the sport. There's letter of the law folks who are not wrong, but they letter of the law. So letter of the law in this instance would say, you shot at a popper, it didn't fall over, you can't call for calibration on a popper, you take the miss and have a nice day. But also, there's the side where objective and compassionate people are administering this rule book, and people can have a perspective on what right and wrong is. And so we got into a situation where we understood that we were right in saying that, nope, can't calibrate this thing, not grounds for a reshoot. We also understood that it's very subjective as to what that means. And so it was a situation. And then this creates the scenario where on one side you have match administration saying, nope, we're within the guidelines. Sorry about your bad luck. And then we have competitors on the other side of the equation saying, that's not fair. I got a raw deal. Sometimes one competitor is like, well, maybe you did. And sometimes it turns into a bigger thing in where they start advocating for getting a stage thrown out. All right, this is how stages get thrown out. And so it was looking like we were at the beginning phases of enough people being upset enough that they were going to try and get the stage thrown out. Trying to get a stage thrown out is met from match administration with resistance. They tried to put on a good stage for you. They don't want to throw it out of the match. And so you're left with kind of a stalemate here. And this is where we were with this popper. On top of that, today the wind picked up. So we were having wind issues on various stages. And essentially, we have kind of people running the stage saying that popper is just fine. Like he didn't hit it hard enough. And we have a competitor saying, I hit that thing, it didn't fall over. Who's right? You know, there's two sides of a story, and then there's what happened in the middle. So we're trying to deconflict this. And I get pulled into this a little bit. Again, I'm not a match director here. I'm not range master. I was just called in for my opinion. And we're trying to figure out what to do. And when I went and looked at that popper was set just fine. There was nothing wrong with it. It was set appropriately. But tell that to the shooters down the hill who are upset about this. And so what are we going to do? Obviously now this is highlighting what I've known for 2 years, that there's a gap in the calibration protocol for a shotgun. But right here today, I don't have the rule precedent to do the right thing, which means we're in a situation where I think people who know right and wrong can go off the reservation to try and serve street justice. So I decided, we decided we were going to allow some street justice. I see this popper. I know it's set pretty good. And so I was like, well, we don't have a way to calibrate this thing with a shotgun. We do have a calibration protocol with a pistol. And your boy, I keep that thing on me, have a pistol. And so I'm like, what if we offer everybody, like, hey, if you're challenging this popper, we will shoot it with a pistol. If it falls over, sorry about your bad luck. Or no, if it falls over,
yay,
reshoot.
Go you.
And if it doesn't fall over, sorry about your bad luck. Or did I get that backwards?
Yes.
Yes.
No, you're good. Everybody knows what you said. You said it appropriately. Move on.
Yeah. I'm going to shoot this thing, and if it's calibrated, they're going to eat it, and if it's not calibrated, we're going to fix it. When we decided we were going to offer this, I'll say I was 85% confident that the reshoots were not going to happen. And so we step up and like, hey, everybody, and some top teners are on this squad. It's like, hey, everybody, we are in uncharted territory here. Here's what we're going to propose. We propose it to them. Does everybody agree? Does everybody agree that if we do this, you'll be good with this outcome? Yes, yes, yes. Eye contact, you in the back, yes. Okay, here we go. So I step up, and with a 4-inch 9mm, with whatever carry ammo I happen to have today, which I believe it's a 115 Hornady hollow point. Step up there. Pow! Bing! And that thing stood there like the Statue of Liberty. right in the calibration zone, and I was like, damn it. Well, guys, we're going to shim this thing up, and we're going to get it right.
I didn't learn about this until after the match at dinner, but I would have loved for that stage to get thrown out because on that stage, this was in the middle of my first day, so you can just assume that this is one of the worst stages I've ever shot in my life, and it was. You started in a chair, and you ran 10 yards to the shooting box, picked up a empty chamber but loaded shotgun.
Cruiser ready
shotgun on the table, or condition 2 as the cool kids say. Shot a bunch of things, including some flyers. I tripped over the start box.
A lot of no-shoots, too.
Lot of no-shoots.
Okay, so I left out that part of this popper.
Behind 2 no-shoots. You basically had to shoot it in the head.
Basically at breast level on this calibration zone. So everybody, the reason this is challenging is because everybody's holding high, which you're like, okay, they're hitting high on the popper, it'll fall over.
Half the pattern.
They're hitting it with like a third to 25% of their pattern. Of number 8s, so not a whole lot of energy there.
Yeah. So anyways, I go running up to this box. I proceed to trip over the shooting box, tackle the table, manage to not knock over the table or knock my shotgun off of said table, thereby ending my match 5 stages into the worst day of shooting I've ever had.
True or false? This is going to be a match lessons video.
There will be countless match lessons video. I will run out of memory on my phone making match lessons from this from this thing.
Stay tuned for that, folks.
Yeah, it's going to be a little rough. And then proceed to shoot a no shoot and miss one of the clays, 40% stage. So that's fun. I cannot remember the last time I shot a 40% stage doing anything.
I think that was the first stage of the match that I shot, and it's kind of a hero or zero thing because it's like how close are you going to get into those no shoots that directly dictates like how fast you're going to shoot. I think I did okay on it. The scores would say I did moderately okay. But I thought I did okay with it and wrote it off as, hey, got through the first stage, no problem. But that's the problem about throwing out stages. You're going to have people who are like, sweet, I bombed that stage, like F that stage. And then there's going to be people that, I crushed that stage, blah, 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 why'd you throw it out? So, like, there's no... Again, this is kind of one of those things where, like, I don't care to have my morality judged by people who haven't had to make a decision where there are only bad options.
Yep.
Someone is upset no matter what we did. And the reason
I am, by the way, very much joking because everything that went wrong on that stage for me was 100% my fault. And I don't I prefer, like I said in the podcast that aired before this, I don't like matches. I wouldn't say I don't like matches with mulligans, but I don't like mulligans as a thing because my favorite thing about shooting sports is you step up to the line and you get what you get. So I don't actually want a stage thrown out just because of what me. But I have seen people get so boned. It's like, sorry, just.
But it's it's a physical world too. Yeah. Like I mean, like the conditions are changing. This thing's been shot 120 times. It's settling into the ground. The wind is different. They pulled it out of wherever they pulled it out of, and the rust is polished off of it now.
Yep.
And so like I tell that story, one for the obvious reasons of it being entertaining, but give you a little insight, especially if the rumors around this one start circling around. It's not because someone in a shirt complained and we caved. It wasn't because the match director wanted to keep their stage in the match and they weren't listening to reason. And it wasn't because, we played fast and loose with some kind of rule or something like that. It was a situation that match directors and range masters get into where, as black and white as the rules seem sometimes, there's gray area. When people poke fun at like how elaborate the USPSA rule book is, every one of those rules is there because something happened, and it's been refined and condensed and whatnot. But like a lot of that stuff is there, and there's still gray areas that you can find yourself in, and that's where we found ourselves today. And from my perspective, that is how it was handled. I didn't want Mike to throw us out of the match. I didn't want those shooters to feel like they got a raw deal. I think the rules left a gray area, or they didn't address a legitimate concern for officiating competitive equity. We went somewhere in the middle. And I'm here saying publicly, when I put my front sight on that calibration area, I thought that thing was going to fall over. It was going to be the end of it. But it didn't. And by God, they got their reshoots. And so that's the story I have to tell for you. And that is a quick flyby of Adam Reiser's worst match ever and the beginning of the qualification process for the 2026 IPSC Shotgun World Shoot. I'm super excited for it. I think this was a great match. I think it's an interesting format and a genre. I'm super excited for the rest of them this year. Shameless plug, the one in August in Minnesota, registration opened today, which is probably a week or two ago. But it's open right now for you to get signed up. I'm super stoked for it. I hope Adam maybe brings the shotgun that he likes more than this one and shoots a few more of them with us. I'm going to go to all of them. And, yeah, I'm pretty it's 2025, baby. We got the season started.
Yeah. I just want to give a couple of bubble shout outs to a couple people here. So the selection criteria for this is top 4 go. So this is not the only match. This is, running average best 3 out of 6.
I'll unpack that a little bit because that was something. USPSA policy. A team at the match is 3 people. They take 3 scores in a division or a category, and that is your country's score. USPSA's policy is we send 4. We send 3 and an alternate. That is a team. So a team selection from USPSA is 4. That would include an alternate because they will use the best 3 of those scores. And then subsequently, there are second and third alternates.
Yeah. So right on those bubbles in tactical, Evan Craig placed 5th in tactical at 94%. I shot with him all weekend. That kid is absolutely murdering with that shotgun. He is shooting super, super well. So just wanted to give my boy a shout out because he crushed it. In modified, 4th place at 96%, Lena Michalak shooting against the boys and crushing some very good shooters. We have ourselves a genuine Justine Williams level conundrum here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's legit, like, strategy wise, for those of you like keeping score at home, the goal is to send the highest number of competitive teams. When we say competitive, we mean placing well in the match to World Shoot. So we're accruing these scores to figure out who that is and whatnot, but we're also trying to look at, like, how do we put together the most competitive teams? And it's a legit question for someone like Lena or like Justine or Jaylee's, who shoot very well regardless of their gender.
Yeah.
But does Team USA win more medals if they're on the overall team or if they're on a stacked ladies team? And if they're listening, I definitely want to know what they think about that privately. But like, that's some of the strategy stuff, like, we as a confederation have to look at, like, when we have ladies placing very highly, like, I get more excited about the ladies participating on the overall team, honestly. Like, I kind of think it's an agender sport. And And I get excited about ladies making the overall team. But at the same time, the female category exists, and there's a limited number of competitors who fit into that team. You know, are our cards better placed there? I don't know. That's a question for the community, I guess. These people get to pick, but like,
Yeah.
I'm curious what people think about that kind of thing as we go forward, because I sit behind some of the closed doors in some of these meetings, and so I kind of have to speak for us on this. So I want to know what people think on that. But yeah, that is a very interesting finish, and edging out AMU.
That's where I was.
Houston Russell.
Yeah.
Who's no slouch.
No, Houston is not messing around. So yeah, Lena is crushing souls currently. And for open division on the bubble in 4th place, our boy Ruben, who beat former world champion Scott Green, who I'm sure is raging right now.
And B. Nelson.
And
forget about B. Nelson.
And B. Nelson, who did have
He probably doesn't care.
Oh no! Brian is quite.
He was trying to play it off at dinner, like,
No.
oh yeah, whatever. I don't want to.
No, he
I'm
is
like, I'll go if I win, but you know.
Brian cares. Brian doesn't care if he makes a team, but Brian is in the me and Scott category of wants to beat people.
Those are the most fun ones.
He had a shotgun malfunction on the very first stage so bad that he threw his mag in the trash on the spot. Like, just walked over to the trash and was like, nope. That mag is dead to me. So I don't know how bad your shotgun malfunctions were, but I've never thrown a shotgun mag away
Can you also picture like somebody like Homer Simpsoning out of the bushes?
And just grabbing it out of the trash? Yeah, 100%. Everybody with one of those guns just like,
How bad could it be?
All right. So yeah, that is it. That's our shout outs. That's the match. If you guys have any questions about any of this, hit us all up. I hope this is entertaining. I hope I didn't come off too angry, because I did have a good time in whole, mostly because of the people that I got to hang out with in the match that I got to shoot. But my personal performance is something that will make me look in the mirror and call myself names for the weeks to come.
Riser's in a dark place, and sometimes every rose has its thorn,
Yeah. If you get that song stuck in my head, I'm going to hurt you.
But I think it's a new format. I think ultimately it makes our sport more diverse and more sustainable. I also
and it's a great gateway for people into 3-gun, because right now there's no stepping stone from 2-gun to 3-gun other than just like carting all the stuff out there. You can't try each gun individually.
Yeah. And some of these things that like were deciding factors in this match might be a decisive part of one stage of a 3-gun match in the future. You don't really get to learn that stuff by playing 3-gun unless you play a lot of 3-gun, where like here you can kind of go deep in the weeds on a gun. I come away from a lot of 3-gun matches like feeling like I didn't shoot one gun or the other enough, 3-gun is very much the sum of its parts. But like sometimes, like I just want to get into some shotgun and do some. I want to get into some rifle and shoot some rifle. This is our opportunity to do that. And then also, just like as a fan of the sport, like the scoreboard at the top is going to be. It's going to be
It is
a nail biter, and like have your popcorn ready, because this weekend's results is not set in stone for where we're going to be this fall.
No. I mean, there's 4 more of these coming up. One of them already happened before this. And, there is a better than zero chance, looking at how much practice everyone's putting in, understanding how difficult this is going to be. The next 4 would be my guess are going to be the deciders. Like, this might come down to the last match. So
I think it will come down to the last match.
It's going to be super tight.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of daylight in there.
Yeah, and for those keeping score at home, there are 4 more of these. One in South Carolina, and Clinton House is the next one in May. Near Kansas City in June. Forest Lake, Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, August. Nebraska, September. Those are all posted on the USPSA website. And also, Right behind Shotgun World Shoot is another Rifle World Shoot 2027, which would mean shooting season 2026 would be the time to do what we're currently doing right now for the rifle series. I can put it out there to the world that I don't care about rifles as much as I care about shotguns. So if somebody has a vested interest in making sure that rifle series happens, I will help you, but I will not do it for you. Right now is the time to start rallying the troops to put that series together. I would absolutely help with that. I'm not going to be the sole person behind that. Just floating that out there. But next year, we're going to be doing all this IPSC rifle, as well as doing prep matches for the shotgun in the fall. And with that, keep those overlay cards handy, because this has been On the Perf, and we'll get at you next time. Bye, everyone.
See ya.